Well, this is a depressing story to have to make a video about. Hey everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your day here with me today. We're not doing a podcast for this story. I decided I wanted to do this one face to face because the news has come out that Disney will be sunsetting the Disney Movie Club on May 20th. And I'm pretty sure this is a final thing. I don't think a sudden influx of people signing up for Disney Movie Club is going to change this decision. Unless, of course, we're talking about millions of people signing up, which seems very unlikely. Now, I've been a huge fan of the Disney Movie Club for a long time. Heck, I'm wearing a Disney Movie Club beanie and have been for a while. And this is just super depressing. Now, it's not completely surprising because what the Disney Movie Club was, for those of you who might not be aware, it was basically a direct-to-consumer DVD mailing service. Now, these existed before, most notably with like the Columbia record club, where they would pick an album or something and send it to you, and then you would pay for the album. Most of these services got you in by saying, you know, you could get 12 CDs or 12 DVDs for a penny each. But then you have to buy like 3 or 4 movies at retail price to fulfill your commitment, and so that's how they would make money. These services have really not existed for a very long time. Disney Movie Club was probably one of the last ones that was out there, and considering it is Disney and considering how Disney does not care to cater to niche markets, I'm a little surprised it lasted this long, but we're going to get to that in a second. And here's where the wasted potential of Disney Movie Club comes in. Now, Disney Movie Club, I think, survived for one primary reason. They released Disney Movie Club exclusive movies. And what these were DVDs, Blu-rays, sometimes a 4K of a movie that Disney felt does not have a widespread appeal to put out to the general market or to put on Disney Plus. But hey, there's enough people who have fond memories of it that they would probably buy the disc, even if it was a retail price disc. So some of these movies, and you might cry at some of these titles, but again, this is Disney deciding the public wouldn't be interested in these, not me. Some of these discs included 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, The Watcher in the Woods, Return to Oz, The Black Cauldron, a Goofy movie. A Goofy movie is a strange one because they actually sell a Goofy movie merchandise at Disneyland, so you would think that that would be a general release Blu-ray, but whatever. And so that's what they did. And I think a lot of people like me kept signing up for Disney Movie Club because they would have those titles. Because to be frank, when it came to like the Marvels or Avatar or anything that was released in the store, you could get them much cheaper elsewhere. Now, this decision comes at a particularly weird time. Best Buy, of course, has dropped their physical media section. Target has definitely scaled back. Walmart is buffing up, but with a lot of controversy of shows being pulled from services and films being canceled, physical media has been slowly coming up with like a little bit of a boon, if you will. People are buying more physical media because the dangers of streaming are becoming much more prevalent. And so under the right circumstances, if Hollywood plays their cards right, they could have a very healthy business in the physical media market, even though it's not going to be what it used to be at the mid-2000s, where it's like pretty much everything was a major hit, and a smaller movie that makes $40 million in theaters could also make $30 million on DVD. Those days are unfortunately long gone. It's more of a niche market now with few exceptions, like Oppenheimer. So Disney is exiting at a weird time. It is true that the sales have never been lower, but they're also starting to raise a little bit as people become more aware that streaming is not the end-all be-all. Now, that might actually be a little intentional. Maybe Disney does not want to capitalize on the rising sales of physical media because they want everything on Disney Plus. But they did recently release that $1,500 Blu-ray set that cost a lot of money, and it pretty much almost sold out right away. There's still a few copies, but those are definitely going to be gone before summer comes around. And that was like a pretty good profit for Disney. And I even have it on very good authority, people working at the company, not going to say who, because thankfully there's enough people there that there's some ambiguity there, where Disney was actually doing 4K restoration scans for all their shorts, for all their movies. Like this big project over there. Not sure where that project sits with this recent announcement, because the idea that you would have this restoration project is that you would sell it somehow. And if you're not going to sell it on physical media, then I don't know why you're doing it. I hope they continue to do it, because we need to at least preserve those films and shorts, but it also seems kind of pointless if you're not going to release it. So why are they doing this? If the sales are up, and if they're doing these 4K restorations, if their last limited edition Blu-ray set did very well on the very limited amount of sets that was being released, why get out of it now? Especially since Disney Movie Club actually seems to have more purpose than ever. Because keep in mind, Disney bought 20th Century Fox and all their movies. Now, that catalog is going well underused, well underutilized. Like all this classic stuff that would make money, but Disney's not been doing anything with it. Well, the Disney Movie Club could have been the extension of that. I did a podcast episode recently for a movie that Disney released called All of Us Strangers. It's a Golden Globe nominated film. And the news was that it was only going to be available on streaming. However, to reduce costs and reduce risks, Disney could have, announced, hey, you could get the Blu-ray if you are a Disney Movie Club member. And what about some of these shorts? Like they could have done more of these short collections and made them Disney Movie Club exclusive. There are still several Walt-era live-action films that never made it to DVD or Blu-ray. Why not sell them to Disney Movie Club members? These are the members who will pay full price for them. And while your volume will be lower, for sure, because DVDs and Blu-rays are not the hot seller that they were, well, then, even with that, you would be making less inventory, but higher profits. So it seems like a good win, but it's not going to happen. So the Disney Movie Club, from my perspective. Hey, so a quick little update here. Bill Hunt from the Digital Bits actually confirmed a very interesting story that going forward, Sony would be taking over the physical media division of Disney. Now, it's a long article. I'll kind of post a link below. But the long and short of it is that basically because of the way that Bob Chapek had reorganized the media landscape, one of the reasons that Disney movies were not getting released very frequently is because of the multiple layers of management that were there. And what should take a couple of people 5 minutes to make decisions takes a dozen people like weeks to figure out. And by doing this, they are hoping that titles will get out more efficiently and sell more copies. And of course, Sony has a very robust disc production company. A lot of people are actually contacting Sony for things just like this. Now, that being said, this does not make the closing of the Disney Movie Club any less terrible. In fact, if anything, Sony should be given the opportunity to run it themselves so that they could be on the floor giving Disney advice on how to best sell movies on physical media. But c'est la vie, I just wanted to throw that in there so that this video didn't feel exactly incomplete. Has been totally underutilized. And they haven't, by the way, released a Disney Movie Club exclusive in about 2 years or so. So the writing was probably on the wall, but they had the assets, they had the content, they had the means to really draw people to the Disney Movie Club. Like they could have released so much exclusive physical media on Disney Movie Club, and they would have gotten people who would join, and they probably never would have quit as a result. But why are they doing this? Like why, even like, look, if it's a little money, why not take it? Well, this is unfortunately one of the fallacies of companies, especially publicly traded ones. Like, I'm going to have to do a video about what it means to be the Disney CEO. I have a title in mind. It's called Why You Don't Want to Be the Disney CEO. And I'm going to do this episode kind of explaining to Disney fans why they make the choices they make and why, as much as we as fans would like things to be different, why they are not. When you're a publicly traded company, though, the main thing is shareholders invest in your company with the hopes that the value will go up. Now, here's the thing with something like Disney Movie Club. It's not hurting the company. Not at all. I don't think Disney Movie Club ever lost money. But it's not exactly helping it either. I mean, this is why, the studios in general started going after franchises as opposed to smaller films. I mean, look, Blumhouse, which is a horror company, routinely makes $20 to $40 million horror films, and they will usually make $1 to $200 million. Now that is a healthy profit. It is a healthy profit. But why make a movie that'll make you $70 million in profit when you can pay $300 million for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, and it makes $1 billion and you make $500 million in profit? Never mind the merchandise, just the movie itself. That's the kind of idea that you can sell to shareholders. And so when you see something like Disney Movie Club, it has a small profit, it has a steady profit, but it's not exactly something that the shareholders are going to look at and say, well, yeah, that's the kind of money I want to be making. That's why I'm investing in your company. They want something else. Why do you think the reason is Bob Iger is trying to revitalize Star Wars and Marvel? Even though as fans, we can say, look, the problem is you're oversaturating the market. It needs to take a break. We need to miss it for a few years. But try telling the shareholders, hey, these movies we've been making that we're routinely bringing in $1 billion each, we're going to not make those for a while. Well, what else do you have to replace that with? You don't have anything to replace it with. And so that's why you see Disney restructuring everything, because their primary focus is to fix the thing that was making them a lot of money. Now, if they don't do that, then they have to think outside the box, and at that point, people will be fired. Trust me, Bob Iger will not have his job any longer if he cannot revitalize Marvel and Star Wars. That might not be a bad thing, personally. I'm kind of tired of those movies, to be honest. But this is what the shareholders want. And so as part of this whole restructuring thing where they are reallocating sources, I'm not saying Bob Iger personally made this decision, by the way, but I could see someone, a studio accountant, looking at Disney Movie Club and looking at the resources they're putting into the Disney Movie Club and looking at what they're getting back for it and saying, we're not making a lot of money on there. Why don't we close this division and let's pivot over to here where we hope more money will be made. That's what's going on. And it's a shame because, Warner Archive is a thing out there, and they make those old movies. They basically make them on demand and things like that, and they sell them direct to consumer for the most part. And they are fairly successful in what they do. They never sell 1 million units of any of these things, but they make enough to keep the lights on and to keep chugging along. And of course, it's just an extra ad revenue. And by the way, thank goodness Zaslav has not destroyed that department. I hope that doesn't happen anytime soon, but it's definitely a possibility. So they know that, but it's just the way things are with everything being about spreadsheets and shareholders. This is not the kind of business that they want to be in. I mean, it's like that line from The Social Network that kind of, I think, speaks to every business these days, where Sean Parker, who's played by Justin Timberlake, says, "You know what's $1 million is not cool. You know what's truly cool? $1 billion." And boy, isn't that the mentality that drives all these decisions. And look, as fans, you might not like it. As a fan, I don't like it. As a shareholder, I totally get where they're coming from. I think as a shareholder, I also want to say, though, hey, you know what? I see the market going in a better direction. This is direct to consumer. They're paying more for the average disc directly to us. I think this business model still has a place in the company. But the problem is the profits that this division is bringing in are minuscule compared to the profits of other divisions. That's also, by the way, why Tab Soda was discontinued by the Coca-Cola company, because Coca-Cola's sell so much more Diet Coke and Coke Zero that they look at Tab and it's like, well, people buy Tab, but it's not really bringing in the money that we would like it to. Why don't we discontinue Tab and we can shut down the resources making Tab, maybe pump more resources into Diet Coke and Coke Zero, and those people will probably switch to those products, and this is how a company thinks. So where is Disney going to reallocate these services? I do not know, but that's basically what's going on. So it's a little unfortunate. I would like to hear your thoughts on the closing. Are you going to miss it? Why are you going to miss it? And, subscribe to the podcast, because I am going to be talking about why being Disney CEO, because I see YouTube channels where people say, this is what I would do if I was the Disney CEO, and why I want to be the CEO of Disney. And the Disney CEO job is not quite what you think it is, and so I think I kind of need to explain that to you, people out there, the hardcore Disney fans, that being the Disney CEO goes beyond just saying do this, do this, do this. We'll be making that episode, but in the meantime, Disney Movie Club, let us leave the comments below for what is truly a sad day for physical media fans. Hey, you made it to the end. Thank you so much for making it to the end. Just a few more things. First of all, the names that you see on the screen, these are our Patreon and YouTube member supporters, and I thank each and every one of them. Their support helps me make exclusive videos for Patreon and YouTube members, as well as keep the channel running, and of course is just of huge kindness to me. Also, don't forget to check out the iCritic-led podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, Deezer, whatever podcasting service you listen to, it is there. We definitely want to see you there. And hey, there's also other videos that you can check out. So, check out these other channels, these other videos, especially that one. I think that's a really good one.